ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mike McGrail.
Hey. Nice. Thanks very much. That was better. This is certainly one of the most intimate settings I've ever spoken in. You can come forward if you want. I'm not going to bite. Like David said, oh, thanks very much. Like David said, my name is Mike McGrail. I run a consultancy here in Edinburgh called Velocity Digital. I nearly forgot the name of one company there. And I deal with companies that are billion-dollar tech companies right down to local startups, and it keeps me very happy and very busy. I'm going to talk about something today called personal branding. It's a term that I actually want to throw up a wee bit when I hear, but it's something that is more and more prominent. And basically, the best way to start with that is a definition of personal branding. So it's something that focuses on a person, their personality, their knowledge, their experience, and uses that to build a profile, attention, and ultimately build their business. So if you imagine a scenario where you have a brand, take Apple, for example. When Steve Jobs was still with us, God bless his soul, Apple was very much its own brand, but Steve Jobs was a big part of that. Steve Jobs died, and now nobody really cares about the new guy. Apple still stands strong, and that's great because they've got that to fall back onto, and I'm going to talk a wee bit more about that coming up. That's my own definition. Other people would argue that maybe that's not the right definition, but I say to them, go and bother somebody else. Here's some examples of personal brands, and this is where we get interactive. Who can tell me who that is? Gary V. Yeah, I see, you know the short name. You must be a big fan. Gary Vaynerchuk. Hands up if you don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is. Okay. For those of you, lady with the blonde hair back there, what was your name, sorry?
Sarah.
Sarah. What do you think of Gary Vaynerchuk?
I like him because I think he's massively on purpose.
Yeah.
He says it as it is. He's not got a filter. He doesn't care if you don't like him. But he's on a mission. And I think people dip in and out of love with him.
Yeah.
He can be a bit much, but I think his underlying message, I can relate to it.
Great. So Gary Vaynerchuk is a guy from the States who his family immigrated from the Ukraine, I think, to the States when he was very young. And he is a very, very successful entrepreneur. I'm not sure if he's a billionaire yet, but he's definitely on the way to it. And he has built these companies basically through his own brand. So the Gary V brand. And almost you could speak to a lot of people and say, what are Gary Vaynerchuk's companies called? And they wouldn't have a clue. Now most of them have his name in them, but that's fine. But he's a very divisive person. If we had more time, I would show you one of his videos. There's some things that he does. He's very in your face, and he talks about hustle, hustle, hustle all the time, and he swears a lot. And he's like work, 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 work until you. Excuse my language, but that's kind of how he speaks. So you either love him or you hate him. He's like the personal brand Marmite, 100%. What about this guy? Yeah, come on. Hands up if you didn't know who he was. Okay, that's fine. Only kidding. He's a guy that launched a rocket recently and thought, I'll just fart a car into space as well, and everybody in the world will go mad watching that. Absolutely spot on. He is the Tesla dude, but he's also SpaceX, who are trying to revolutionize space travel. He's top notch. He is, in my mind, the brand over Tesla, over SpaceX. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's definitely a billionaire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Although Tesla loses $1 billion a year or something like that, which is cool. What about this lady?
She's lovely.
That's.
Me too. No idea.
All right, calm down, chaps. Who was that? Did someone know? Oh no, did you just all identify who shouted that? Wow, amazing. This is Lily Peebles. She is a fashion blogger, and she now gets paid a lot of money to represent different brands on YouTube, Instagram, so on and so forth. She is a brand, it's the name, that's all it is. This guy, anyone? PewDiePie, the most successful YouTuber ever. Who recently retired from it. I think he was making about $40 million a year purely through YouTube advertising because all these people wanted to watch his videos. $40 million. Every single one of those people, I'm sorry, is all about themselves, basically. But some of them have companies behind them, some of them don't.
Are you going to share at all at any point just how these people seem to come from nothing and don't seem to really appear to do much and then crazy money? Like how?
Yes, I can sell that secret to you for. The problem is, this is meant to be a 10-minute talk, and I do this at university sometimes for students, and it takes me an hour. So I'm trying to condense it into 10 minutes, which, if I'm estimating right, probably 4.5 to 5 are already gone. But we can chat after, and I will not be able to tell you how they made so much money. But we can. And one more. Sorry. Well, hey, she's Marissa Mayer. She used to be Google, she's now the head of Yahoo, which must suck because they're dying. Right, why create a personal brand?
Identity.
People like people, people buy from people, and you relate to people far more than you relate to a badge, I believe. You might be a massive Nike fan, you might believe in the swoosh, you might believe in the Apple, that's a heart, but you know, Apple, I'm not going to try that. But I believe that you should be, if you are in business, particularly if you're in small business, if you're starting a business, you should be looking to use yourself to promote that. But it's not all about promotion and hard sales. So how do you go about creating a personal brand? You've got to define your purpose. The first thing is, why am I doing what I do in my life in general? I started my marketing consultancy about 6 years ago. Excuse me, that last canopy was full of garlic. Because I was really fed up with terribly bad digital marketing and all the utter BS that was going on around it. That was my purpose, and I wanted to help companies really understand it and make more of it. Maybe you want to inspire people, maybe you want to motivate people, maybe you want to help people that have had a bad time have a better time. Whatever it may be, define your purpose early on and bear that in mind at all times. Never deviate from that, and the moment you deviate from it, you need to go and do something else. But what makes you different? The problem is, everybody now wants to be a personal brand because a lot of people believe it can make them a ton of money. Do I have a personal brand? Perhaps, I don't know, we'll talk about that later. But actually, it's not a guaranteed route to success, just being successful and interesting online. Actually, it's a bloody hard way to do it. So you need to make sure you stand out. The thing that makes me stand out, I believe, and I've been told this in the past, that I am 100% straight talking. If I smell bullshit, I will call it. And that's got me in a lot of trouble, but it's done me more good than bad, I would say. It's the second time I've swore, I'm really sorry. But what's your value proposition? So you can be out there doing these little amazing videos. Sarah, you said a lot of these people don't seem to be doing much. But as long as you're giving value through what you're doing, then great. But if you're just on camera all the time, on Instagram and on LinkedIn and doing all this stuff and just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and you're maybe getting a nice bit of engagement on social media and people seem to like you, but actually what is the value you are delivering? So you need to decide what value you want to give people, because building value is the thing that will help you grow as a person. That sounded so like evangelical, but grow as a person, and ultimately if you're trying to grow a business, grow a business. And you have to create content. You can't have a personal brand without content. A lot of that is going to come down to social media. A lot of that is going to come down to video. Video is a daunting thing to many people, but we're in a lovely position right now because the technology is in the majority of our pockets. High definition, decent enough sound. People don't necessarily expect Hollywood style production these days. You can get rough and raw. That's wrong, sorry. It can be a wee bit more rough and ready. And if you look at any LinkedIn feed right now, since LinkedIn launched native video in about November last year, I think most people have got access to it now. You're seeing a lot of people sitting at their desk just delivering some real value. And it is literally their mobile phone, sometimes in their hands, sometimes on a wee tripod. And I do quite a lot of that stuff myself. And I feel like it's a good way to do it. So you have to create content. If you're more comfortable writing, write. If you're more comfortable as an artist, drawing things, do that. But you have to create content and you need to be persistent and keep it going, or you're not going to manage this. And then you have to go and build an audience. And guess where a brilliant place to do that is, but increasingly difficult? Where do you think? Social media, okay? It's hard. LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, so on and so forth. But it isn't easy and it takes a lot long. I started doing this in 2007 on Twitter. It's not easy. and you have to communicate. It's not just me, blah, 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 here's my content, down your throat, down your throat, down your throat. Somebody asks you a question, you bloody well answer it. Somebody starts following you, thank you for following them. And ask people what they want to hear from you. What can help them pursue what they're trying to pursue. And promote other and their causes. So it's not just about, again, me. It's about, I know this person who's got a great mission and I'm going to try and help them achieve it. Or I'm actually going to back this charity, and instead of just saying I really like this charity, I'm going to go and do something for them. I'm going to use any audience that I've built up for the better good for whatever it may be. And keep at it. It is bloody hard, and you'll feel at times when I'm not getting where I want to be. You need to keep on going. What's bad about personal brands? I'm definitely over time. I'm sorry, folks, but I'm going to finish up. What happens when the brand and the personal brand break up? Steve Jobs dying, they didn't know that was going to happen. Obviously, well, they probably did, but it's a wee bit morbid. But there's a scenario there where you're losing a big part of your brand, but it didn't affect them hugely. Who's this guy?
That's Trevor Kalanick, Uber's ex-CEO.
Yes, so Travis Kalanick, or Trevor to his pals, sorry, but I couldn't resist. Uber already a brand. Hands up if you've got a good feeling about Uber. One guy. Why do you have a good feeling about Uber?
Well, they seem to be disrupting the the transportation industry. Albeit, they've had a lot of problems as well.
Yeah, and that's it. So you might like the fact that they're disrupting things and they're quite a good service, but they had a lot of problems with long shifts for drivers having to work a lot to get any sort of decent living, and so on and so forth. And then he goes and gets accused by all these people at Uber HQ of various misdemeanors, and the board force him to resign as the CEO. And that is problematic because Uber were already in the doldrums with most people reputation-wise, and then he comes along and does that. But he was very much the forefront of the brand. He was the spokesman. He was out there all the time. So he's damaged that core brand even further. And Uber are in a lot of poo-poo at the moment. And it is hard to keep going. Some brands in the past, and there's a accountancy package called Xero, some of you might use that. They hired what you would term as a brand ambassador. He was like a gun for hire. He had a massive Twitter following, and they hired this guy, and he did their podcasts and their videos, and he was the face of their Twitter, and he was the guy that would answer all the tweets. And then somebody made him a better offer 2 years later, and he left. And guess what? He took half the Xero following with him. Ouch. So you can't go and hire somebody to be your personal brand. It has to be somebody that lives and breathes it and is a key part of it. And it can cause confusion. And this is where I come into it. So I started my business 6.5 years ago. Or 6 years ago. Sometimes I say 6.5, I want to sound more impressive. And I had a dilemma. I had already built up a bit of a personal brand prior to 2012. I started a blog called the Social Penguin blog in 2007. That ended up being a pretty good blog. We had lots of people reading it. There was a team of 6 people. During that time, I was also working 9 till 5, and I thought, I've had enough of this. I want to go and do things my own way. Do I go out as Mike McGrail and try and live off that, or do I brand things up? I decided to go down the brand route, Velocity Digital. And sometimes I regret that, because the problem is I do a lot of speaking at conferences, and that's Mike McGrail from Velocity Digital. I do these stupid videos, like seriously stupid, don't even watch them. Some people seem to like them, but actually do watch them. But that's definitely me. And then I have to think about how am I representing Velocity Digital here? In the past, Velocity Digital's had a number of employees. And one of the reasons I didn't go down the personal name, as in, I don't know, Mike McGrail Consultancy for want of something snappier, like the Holy McGrail Consultancy, I don't know. Something like that, was if I need to scale, it can be quite difficult, because then what do? The employees feel part of something when it's all about, yeah, well, I work for Mike McGrail. No, I work for Mike McGrail Limited, no. So it can cause confusion, so just think about what's best for you, and that's it. Questions? This is me on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. That's my personal website, and if you want to email me on the business, it's hello@velocitydigital.co.uk. Thanks very much. I don't know if I've got time for questions, but thanks for listening. Cheers.